Okay. You all know what we talk about. Been here before. It's the same old, same old. How could it be anything other for what we talk about? Non-duality. So I can't teach you anything. I can't tell you anything. All we do here is point toward and ask you to look to where we're pointing to see for yourself. If you're not already seeing for yourself. Another way we put it, I'm not talking to anybody. I'm not talking to any mind. I'm not talking to the body-mind identity that you might believe yourself to be. I'm talking to that I am that I am. That I am is the sense of presence that translates through the mind as the thought I am. Just to this and nothing else. Because that is all there is anyway. The sense of presence. Another way of looking at it is, you might have heard the story of the blind men that came upon an elephant. And each one asked to describe the elephant. One grabbed it by the tusk and said, well, the elephant's like this. Another one got, I know it's not. It's like this, and he's got hold of the trunk. I said, no. It's like this, he's got hold of its ear. Another one's got hold of its tail. And each one got a different take on it and elaborating it in a different way. But they're all talking about the one thing. Whether my ears are on or not, I've got the voice is fine.
Good. Yeah, try now.
Right. That any better?
Of course.
Can you hear that? So,
Reading glasses, right?
Yeah, reading glasses, alright. So describing the elephant.
yeah. So, there's not much use arguing about it. It's better if you can all find something in common. Because the way you've been looking at it might be correct way also. And everything points to that. And so if you've got to get something across there or want to point to something, go ahead, tell us about it. If you listen to what's being said here and got any questions about it, ask the questions. But what we point to here is the one essence that's patterning, shaping, forming, appearing and expressing as everything. And you are that. The door can. That is all there is. Hello. And if, as they say, there is only that, that's the great mantra, I am that. And don't you innately know that already? Because you say, that's the chair I'm sitting in, that's the carpet, that's the room I'm in, that's the tree outside, that's the flower. Everything is that which we put different labels or different words on. And they're discriminating it all with the word. The word's all pointing to the one thatness of everything. That is all there is. And that is no shape, no pattern, no form at all. It's just what is. And we put words or labels on it. How many words were you born with? Well, you go back and try and remember you didn't have any words when you were born. And you didn't learn any words till you were about a couple of years old. And your parents fussing around you. In the first place they gave you the label. You were little Johnny, or little Billy, or little Jane, or whatever. And immediately when you learnt words like I and me, I am little Billy, or I am Jane. We've added that on. But what are you without the word? Oh, yeah. The only thing you can say about it is you can't say you are not. You can't negate your beingness. You can't say, I am not. If you're not, you must be. You're not be. So you're already that. But we wanted a description to put on this beingness. And that's what we do with more words. I am Bob, the Australian, the good fellow or the not so good. People don't like me, or I'm doing this, or I'm fearful, I'm angry, I'm unhappy. It's all through discriminating with the word. Now the word is not the thing. Have a look at the word. Take the word water. Can you drink the word? You can say water, water for the rest of your life, but that's not going to quench your thirst. You say fire. Doesn't burn you. You can't cook with it. So what's this word I or me? Is it this person, this separate entity, this individual, which we've taken for granted with the words? Or is it that innate intelligence energy, the activity of knowing, which is innately expressing through this pattern, which you call the body and the mind? And that's what needs to be looked at. We've taken on this belief we're separate, and we've got a concept, most of us have got a concept of some higher power or greater being, which we call God or the Supreme or the Great Perfection, all sorts of labels we put on it. But it's greater than I or me, so we say. But we believe we're I or me, and we're not too happy with all the conceptualising, the thoughts that are going on, that telling me I'm good, not good enough, I'm fearful, or I'm happy. And the worst one we put upon ourselves, well, after all, I'm only human. So we're not too happy with these words. And so we think we've got to become one with this reality, this great reality, this higher power or greater being. Not realising that it's already and ever and only the one, not two. And it's not much use putting the label one on it either, because as soon as you're two, you've seemingly separated. There's an idea of one, there must be other than one. That's what they call non-duality, one without a second, not two. It's not even one. But in all these patterns, shapes and forms in this room right now, all have our concepts, ideas and images. And we take If you haven't looked into this and understood it, you'll take yourself to be separate. Not staying in that oneness they're pointing to is the absolute. It encompasses absolutely everything. They give it the term awareness, for want of a better term. Anybody who is unaware right now? Can you say what that awareness is? You can't put a shape or form on it. All it's there, how it expresses is the knowing that you are. There's a knowing, pure knowing there, and when it's translated into I am, which is the thought. One of the words we've picked up along the way. One of the words we've learned. And that I amness is nothing but the sense of presence. But we take it to be me, the person. And where does that word person come from? Come from the ancient Latin, meaning persona, the mask. So when we learn words like I am, you can't do much with that I amness. So we put other concepts, other words on it. I am Bob, the Australian. I'm a good fella, I'm not so good. I'm unhappy, I'm fearful. I've got no sense of well-being. All these concepts are put upon myself and have divided myself from being the one, the non-dual one, into the many. But we've moved away from what the ancients tell us. There is only the one, and you and I and everything else is that one. So that's what we need to investigate and look. Who or what am I? Well, what's I am for a start of? Isn't it a word? What was there before I had any words? I didn't have any words for the first couple of years of my life. Was I saying I am then? I certainly wasn't, because I didn't have any words to label it. But I was seeing, I was hearing, tasting, touching, smelling. The thinking hadn't started then, the conceptualising, because I hadn't learned any words. But I was living quite well without the word. Parents were looking after me, being looked after me, and getting along quite well. And constantly being transient, constantly changing. The body was changing every day. And it's still changing right now. So it's what they call transience. No static shape or form anywhere. And see, this manifestation is constantly changing. Everything is transient. There's nothing static anywhere. Hey. And that gives us the idea there's such a thing as time. But is there such a thing as time? Well, if I ask myself, what's wrong with right now if I don't think about it? Well, can I say it's good, bad, pleasant, painful, happy, sad, short, long, high, low, wide or thin, or anything at all without putting the word on it? If I don't put the word on it, it's just as is. As is means it's unaltered, unmodified, uncorrected. No static point anywhere. I can't think of the other things they call it. It'll come to me later. Anyway, it's just the one essence, patterning, shaping, informing, experiencing, expressing as everything. So, but because I believe there is something higher or greater than it, that starts me on the search, the so-called spiritual search. See, we split things up with the word. And we've got this thing, spirit, and then we think there's these other things, what we're seeing is matter. So we've divided spirit, or essence, into matter, spirit and matter. Spirit is essence, like the essence of a flower or something like that. And matter is the same in pattern, shape and form. And what separates them? We got the concept of spirit, and we've got the concept of matter. So when we believe in this concept, the same thought concept, which becomes mind or matter, but spirit is the essence of it all. And under putting that concept on it, everything is that one essence that's patterning, shaping, forming, appearing and expressing is everything. And that's all you can ever be. So when you ask yourself what's wrong with right now if you don't think about it, you can't say it's good, bad, pleasant, painful, happy, sad, loving, hating, anything at all without the thought. But throw the thought, toss the thought away. Where are you without the thought? Well, have a look at it. Drop the thought right now, even for a second. Just leave it there. Don't pay it any attention. Have you disappeared without the thought? Can you say, I am not? You can't. But can you say what you are? You can't say that either unless you put some glorified concepts on it, some ideas or images or words. And then you say, I am this, I'm this good guy, or I'm this bad guy, or I'm a saint, or after all, I'm evil, or a sinner. All concepts can be put on. But without the word, what is it? How many words has nature got? Earth rolling around the sun. And is it saying anything about that? Well, I'm passing this star now, or that galaxy, or this is the next one. It's not. It doesn't know anything about it. And like this side is facing towards the sun right now, and what appears? It appears to be daylight. We call it daylight. And when it rolls the other way and it's facing away, it's darkness. Does the earth know anything about light and dark? It doesn't. Light is just the absence of darkness, and darkness is just the absence of light. So even though they seemingly separate, you can't separate one without the other. There couldn't be light without darkness. Couldn't be darkness without light. And that goes for all these manifestations, all appearing to be solid, substantial and real. But they haven't got any substance or independent nature at all when you investigate it. So we got mind, which is thought. And that thought becomes sound, vibration, and what we call matter, material, solid and substantial. And we take it to be so. And so we start on a search, thinking, if we drop all these concepts I've got right now and look into it, not realising it, looking into it with the mind, all I'll do is grasp another lot of concepts and go on doing that. Realise that some of the things that the ancients tell us, the great perfection, for instance, they call it the great perfection, non-duality, one without a second, not two. pointing out that there's not two. It's not divided by words, concepts, idea. So the great perfection is non-conceptual awareness. Awareness without any concept. Awareness without any substance or any independent nature. But when we put the concept, the word on it, it seemed to become solid, matter. But innately, when you look at it, you know it already in your mind. Because if somebody says something to you, can I do this or do that, or can this happen? And you're not too concerned with it, what do you say? You'll say, oh, it doesn't matter, go ahead. As soon as you say it doesn't matter, what do you do? Haven't you let it be? You haven't taken it on board with a concept. You've let it rest in its absoluteness. So when it doesn't matter, it's still that essence. Or another thing comes up and you say, well, I don't mind. And if you don't mind, you'll let it pass. But as soon as you do mind, you put some belief in the concepts, taking it on board, and you're in trouble with it. So there are a couple of things that need to be looked at and looked into, investigated. We put the words on things and make them seemingly what they're not. And we put the belief in the word. Because we learn these words, we go to school, our parents have turned us words first, then our teachers, our schools, and then we start learning words ourselves. And we believe in the word. As I pointed out earlier, it's not realising the word's not the thing. You can't drink the word water. The word is no thing, but we believe in it. Now, I say believe in it. What's that belief? Isn't it another word? Another concept? And we're saying the word is not the... We'll have a look at that. What's the dictionary definition of belief? Isn't it an unquestioned acceptance in the something, in the absence of reason? Means to say we haven't reasoned it out. We've just accepted it because we've heard it before and latched onto it. Acceptance of an alleged fact. It's an alleged fact until it's investigated and looked into, see, without positive knowledge or proof. Now, as soon as you do that, investigate some of these beliefs you're taking on. There's another saying in the scripture, I'll tell you, the false cannot stand up to investigation. And that is the truth. When you look into all these concepts we have, if they're false and you investigate them, you'll soon see through them. And you've done that already in this manifestation. If you go down to the ocean, I said to you, get a bucket of blue water out of the sea, what would you say to me? You'd say, don't be an idiot. Because you know the sea is not blue. Yet, you turn around and look away, it appears to be blue. But the water in it is not blue, never was or never will be. So you've seen the falseness of it, and though it still appears to be, what do? You know the truth about it, and you can say, well, let it appear to be so. It looks good. But you know it's not the truth. I'll never get blue water out of it. The sky. You look out there on a fine day, you'll see what's seemingly a blue canopy over the space. You say, what a beautiful blue sky. Go up 30 or 40,000 feet in the plane. Where's the blueness? It's still further out. It's not there. But we believe it to be there. But once you investigate it, then no, it's not there. When people looked out to where the sea and the sky met years ago, they were told, don't go out there. You'll fall off the edge of the earth, because the horizon where the sea and the sky met, it seemed to be the edge of the earth. Who would believe it today? The water in the mirage. You're driving down the road and you see water on the road. You drive up to it, there's no water there. Next time you see it, it'll still appear to be there. You know the truth about it. There are so many things that we take to believe real, but when you investigate, they fall apart. So this thing we need to look into, believe in this, believed in personal self. Am I this person? What's I am? Isn't it a thought? What's it represent? It represents the sense of this so-called personal being present and aware right now. I am this presence awareness. I can't negate the beingness or the presence. I can shout it as loudly and as long as I like. I am not aware. I am not present. I am not being. But what does your innate essence tell you? Doesn't it tell you I am? I am before any concepts or words come onto it, and they're added onto it. So you are this pure I amness, or consciousness, or awareness, whatever you'd like to be. And have a look. Can you postulate or think or conceptualise anything that could be outside of space? What would it be in? And then you really look at that and you say there's nothing that I can say is outside of space, because this room is in space and I am in this room and I am seeing the emptiness, the cognising emptiness. That's the space. And the room outside this room, there's more space. Everywhere there is space. And the content of space is that silence, that stillness, that cognising emptiness, which we're told again in some of the scriptures. It's a cognising emptiness, an emptiness that's suffused with cognising or intelligence or knowing. And the Buddha stated that emptiness is form, because it's forming all these shapes, patterns, forms, all the things that are appearing in that emptiness are nothing but forms. And those forms are emptiness. Emptiness is form. It tells you the form can be nothing other than emptiness. So, when have we ever moved away from it? When have we ever been separate from it? Could we ever be separate from that life or awareness? Ever, at any time? Well, try and conceptualise and think of a time or believe a time when you'll not. You'll say there was a time when I was not, before I was born. But you can't even remember your birth because you had no words. And you didn't have any words for the first 2 years of your life. So you're saying, I was not then. You couldn't say it because you had no words. But you couldn't affirm that you were either. So it's the words, the concepts, that are putting all this time and space on these things. So emptiness is form, and form can be nothing other than the emptiness. So all this manifestation, the whole of this manifestation, appears in that emptiness, because you cannot postulate or think of anything. You can imagine and think there could be something outside of that space, But then again, what would it be in? It would have to be in something. Is there something you can conjure up that's other than space, that you can put everything in? Well, I don't think the scientists or the physicists have found anything at all that could appear outside of space. So you don't have to be a road scholar to work it out. You must be, and everything must be, this space-like awareness, cognising emptiness. And that's silence or stillness. Silence is the absence of sound. Without the thoughts, without the word, without the vibration, can there be any sound? And what is sound? Noise, concepts, words, images, vibration. All a movement of energy. See, the wind blowing through the trees, rustling the leaves will make a sound. The air coming through that voice box will make a sound. These words are sound, vibration, energy. So it's all appearing as something solid and substantial and real, but its reality is the one essence, not the patterns, shapes and forms that appears and expresses it. They are the instrument through which that vibration forms a pattern and expresses her. This body is just a vibrating pattern of energy made up of elements: air, earth, fire, water, space. All elements. Those elements can be broken down to subatomic particles, back to pure energy again. So I use the term, I don't use the term God here, I use the term intelligence energy. And when I'm talking about intelligence, I'm not talking about your intellect, because your intellects fire up in a different way. But the innate intelligence, the knowing that you are, not the believing, but the actual knowing of that existence. And that existence is being, or knowing. It's energy, an activity. So that's all intelligence energy is, the activity of knowing. And that doesn't that apply to each and every one of you now? There's no one here who is not knowing right now. That intelligence energy is not functioning in you. So relax back into that, knowing that you are. You can't negate it. But now we've taken on the idea we are this person, this body-mind, this conceptual image. And because it's a conceptual image and believed to be something other than the absolute, then when that capacity of reasoning comes on, and we look out there and we've learnt the word I am, and we take it to be me, this pattern, shape and form, we look out there and we see these other things, all these other things we're seeing right now in this method. And when you investigate, you say, that's not me, that's not I am. Because you investigate, you don't know what it is at that stage. You haven't learnt any words from it. But now when you say it's not me or not I, what do? You feel separate from it. And with that sense of separation, you're looking out there, little Johnny looking out there and he's saying, that's not me. I don't know what that is. This is Mum, this is Dad, this is some of the words I've learnt. But I haven't learnt what that is. So that's not me, it's not I. So naturally, with the little bit of information he's got about himself, he feels very insecure with something he doesn't even know anything. vulnerable. What can that do to me? It can hurt me. So I'm insecure and vulnerable. So that's when the sense of insecurity and vulnerability comes on us. And that starts to get reinforced by all these things, different things we are seeing and don't know anything about. So we start going to school, we get a bit of information, but mainly we get a lot of the wrong information and take the wrong concepts and ideas and beliefs. And it makes all this sense of separation worse and insecurity. This is fear. This is anxiety. This is stress. This is guilt. This is shame. This is remorse. This is unhappiness. This is all happening to me. And what does that do? The thought, feeling and emotion are one and the same thing. When the thought's coming up, this is this and this is that, then the sensation comes up, the feeling. And the feeling is that that's not what I really am. I don't want to be that. So then it gets into the emotion. And emotion, the thought has become emotional. The words they turn into anger, fear, depression, unhappiness. That's how they're translated. And that's what stirs up the body into the fear and anger. So there's this sense of anger, sense of fear, sense of desperation, despair, guilt, fear. And the natural state, the non-conceptual state, which is everything is clear and pure and uncontaminated, we lose sight of it. And most of our life then consists of all this psychological suffering that comes up because of this insecurity and vulnerability. So then we read in the scriptures about some of the ancients that were unhappy with the state of affairs, and game enough to say, well, there's got to be a little bit more to it than this. And I've questioned it and looked into it and have a look at some of the stories of how they came about. And they learnt the words and did this and did that and saw through the time and the mind and the thought process and got to that clarity, that cognising emptiness, and let it rest in that uncontrived singularity. And the rest in that resting in that clarity. What happens when the clouds disappear in the sky? Isn't there much more clarity there? And if there's clarity and no clouds left in the sun, what can happen? There can be more warmth come about if it's not obscured by clouds. Sense of well-being in that clarity. Sense of everything is okay. Nothing wrong anymore. And that affectionate awareness, you can call that warmth, you can call love, the natural compassion in there. You can call love. People have recognised that state and settle down and live in that sense of well-being, nothing wrong. And that's another term of this thing they call God. There are thousands of different names in looking at the scriptures for what they call God. God's this, God is that, and other. And some of them will say, God is love. All this affectionate knowing of yourself, that compassion that's in you, have you recognised and grasped that? That is love. If God is love, love must be God. And it's that close to you that we put different words and different labels. Well, notice not notice the reality. But when it warms the heart and the entire conceptual image in the body, you get a different take on it. But realise, even though it might be obscured to some extent now, or obscured to a lot, that it's basically there. As the poet said years ago, it's closer to you than your breathing. It's nearer than your hands and feet. Well, recognise that. What's closer to you than your breathing? What's there when that thought is not when you breathe out or you're breathing in? Isn't there a sense of presence there? A sense of being well? Being well, which you can't say it's right or wrong, high or low, or good or bad. But you must be that. What's the time going?
11:15.
That's a no. Give you all a go now, get into it.
We have a question here from the online participants. Hi everyone, that's a question or comment from Jane. Brilliant pointers, Bob, so blessed. Thank you, Kat, for making this possible, and for Bob generously pointing for 40 plus years helping us to see through the lie, to the rest of the uncontrived, to singularity. Beautiful to live here. Yes, so that wasn't really a question, but thank you, Jane. Pure love itself, she says. And Jane, and there was quite a few welcome messages. We have Estelle, Amarnath, Kathy, Aaron, Sally, Rohan, someone called Non-Duality Unfiltered, Primali, Dale, Tanya, and Caroline, Charlie, and many more who I don't see. So welcome everyone. And if there are any questions or any of you have any comments, or would you like to contribute, because share something that someone else may hear, or anything at all sticks out, stands out, or would you like to dispute or argue? That floor is open. Anyone? We have the mic here.
I have an observation.
Oh, cool. I'll just pass it on to you.
It's just a simple observation. You mentioned last week, Bob, how you don't get concepts until you have words. So babies and
You don't have concepts until you learn words. So babies don't have words.
yeah.
Concepts.
And I was reflecting on that because I look after my grandchild, and how easy she was to look after before she learnt to talk quite young, but she now has lots of concepts. I like, I don't like. I want, I don't want. And before that, whatever environment almost I put her in, she was just in a state of acceptance. And now it's really different. How I have to interact with her and relate to her. So I just observed that from what you said last week.
Yeah, beautiful. Did you want to comment, Dean? No? No, I just want to say that of course it doesn't mean that they wouldn't be uncomfortable, when they wet or they're hungry, but that's non-conceptual. It's just like the body of any animal or any creature. If it needs attention, it will scream out for it. In one way or another, it will attract it. But it is kind of more organic than creating the concepts. Oh, they don't like me, so now I have to either please them, or I have to attack them, or I have to do something about them, because that's all story. That's just unnecessary waste of energy and self-inflicted suffering. And it's not, when I say self-inflicted, it's not that there is a doer who is doing it. No, of course, it is a condition. We watch parents and society, and we learn that other people behave this way and project those stories. And basically just imitating it, and it becomes habitual. So nobody does that, and it is still happening. And it is unnecessary, because by seeing the way it is habituated and the way it obscures, like Bob was saying, when the sky is clear, there is clarity. When the concepts obscure it, the stories obscure it, there is suffering, there is uneasiness, there is conflict, there is relating it, there is conceptualizing that me to which it is relevant or important. Yeah, that's how it happens. Nobody's guilty, nobody's doing it, and yet it can be seen through and really marvel at, watched as something completely impersonal, watch as just a passing cloud. And that's the freedom, because in that, even if that paranoia happens, even if that obsession about future or past happens, it is not my obsession anymore. It's just a cloud of passing concepts which is ignored, and then they may stop showing up because everything needs attention to exist. The less attention they get, the habit breaks up, and over time, or maybe instantaneously, those things stop showing up, and then life is very easy. It gets really effortless. It really flows. So that's the invitation to really see what stops us right in this moment from experiencing that natural flow. What idea stands in the way? Popular idea is, oh, I am not this yet, or I didn't get that yet, I will get it in future. And there is no I to get anything, and there is no future, and there is no thing to be got. They are all thoughts, and just seeing how they are all thoughts and laughing, that's just so light. It becomes so liberating. It becomes funny. It really is a cosmic joke, and it is then recognized as a cosmic joke. And of course, initially it feels really serious. It feels like, no, of course, I feel there is a contraction there, and this is me. I feel that there is a me. No, there is no one who feels there is a me. There is a certainty of existence, absolutely. But why call it anything? Why give it the borders? Why say it ends where the body ends? Why say it is located? Those are just stories. Initially, we are convinced, we are brought up and conditioned to believe that that's the reality, that's true, that is my experience. But when we look closer, we see that the experience, the direct experience, without having a story and imagination overlaying it, says nothing about having a body, being a body, having a mind, being a mind. Direct experience does not contain those. It can't, because those are images. Those are projections. I am, yes, there is existence, and now the projection comes and says, I am this, and not that. How do I know that? How do I know that if I push the thought aside, or I see the thought for what it is? It's just a thought, so why would I trust the thought? Habitually we trust thoughts. That's just how the energy is fueling the creations. Thought is also a magical, mystical way in which that one potentiality of energy manifests. Yes, it also is a baby of the Absolute. But yeah, by habitually feeding that baby of the Absolute, that monster of the Absolute, or whatever it is, the judgment is also another thought. It grows to be a cloud which obscures the clarity, which completely clouds that effortlessness, ease, and joy of being. And it just simply doesn't have to be this way. Come on, anyone? Peter, you have some? Please.
Yeah, I've always
Please.
Thank you. It might be interesting just to say there is awareness of this happening, whatever it is, but it refers to no one. It relates to no one. That's much the same as what you're saying, Kat, I think. this one that we think is the centre of the universe clearly doesn't stand up to investigation. Have you investigated that?
Yeah.
What did you find?
Say that again.
Have you investigated the reality of yourself as this so-called separate self that really is a ball of swirling concepts that
Yeah, I
you
have.
know,
Yeah, so
And-
I've touched into experiences. I've touched into experiences of, well, saying going beyond the separate self doesn't make sense, but experiences of there being no other. Like, yeah,
I'm really not talking about experiences.
right.
All experiences come and go, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, we can have
But it
mind-blowing spiritual awakenings,
Yeah.
and yet the next moment we're flat,
Yeah.
right? And we all have experienced that, haven't we? Yeah. And if one doesn't stop there, but keeps on searching for this magical experience, right, then isn't it your experience? It's certainly my experience that you simply get lost in this thing that has no end. There's no outcome to. There's no way in which I can actually hold anything, because I am that which cannot be anything at all. Because I am all I can really say when I investigate this apparent self as being concrete is that it's completely ephemeral. I can't hold it anywhere. All I really am is this, if you like, is a field of experience. All thoughts, all experiences arise somewhere, but I can't say where they arise, and so therefore I have no clear reference point at all about who I am. It's like the ideas rise and they fall. Everything rises and falls. There's nothing concrete here at all, is there? Yeah. Really? So there's nothing to which this current experience really relates. And yet we are this, as a separate self-constructed identity, we seem to be this thing which is has a definite reference point to which everything responds. But in fact, we don't. As Kat was talking about, direct experience. I like that. That word for a moment. It's like if we look to experiences, a collection of experiences, or a series of better experiences, which are going to illuminate the reality of a concrete self in heaven or wherever you want to see yourself to be, absolutely clear about everything happening. In bliss, then one is only ever going to come up with this ephemeral result. Again, there's nothing we can hold here, nothing. And so, we need to do that simple investigation of our reality, our so-called reality, and the only thing that I can ever in that simple direct investigation, the only thing that I've found that is constant reliable, always there, never changing, is this simple presence, being. I am. And this sense of I am, or this beingness, is not different to the immediacy of the direct experience of being here. You can't deny that, can you? You're here, not in this room, but you are a sense of presence. You have a sense of knowing, right? And that is I would call that a direct experience. It's not subject to or reliant on anything at all. Is it? It's just there. It's a spectacular, but completely simple realization, isn't it? I am here now, present, aware. Nothing else at all has any weight if we just simply investigate it. You know, this experience, this collection of experiences, you know, who hasn't had brilliant, magical, mind-blowing experiences?
No, I haven't.
Well, you have, in the sense that you love your concepts, Terry, right? Now, as you experience the love of your concepts, there's something, there's an isness about that, but it's not in the concepts. It's just in the beingness. It's just in the expression of, I don't know.
Yeah.
One thing I do know is I'm full of shit, and but maybe you don't. You're full of shit too, but you don't know. I don't know.
No.
I can't help thinking that we're talking about the dream, and that the dream seems at times so close to reality that when I disappear, there's a point where you see that you can very easily disappear into the dream. And I think that's why what we can call isness or presence, Shakespeare calls stuff. We are such stuff that dreams are made on. Dreams are made on the stuff. So the reality is the base. And we in our awakened state, we know we are that stuff, that ineffable stuff. But we're also very close to the dream, the illusion that we can create so easily. And we slip into that dream and take on whatever manifestation we think. Just a little.
Oh, thank you. I sort of see it like a very relevant point is non-duality. What is it? I know about as much what it is as you do, nothing. And direct experience. And just an example that I can remember of direct experience. It's about a student, whoever, is walking along the road and confronts a big river. And he speaks to the farmer who owns the land, and he asks the farmer, how can he get over this river? And the farmer says that if you listen to my words, he says, when you get to that river, you'll find out it's just a mirage, and there's no water in that at all. And he said, when you've seen that, you realise that my words will turn into direct experience when you see that. But even this still means very little. Something that meant a little bit more sense to me. Direct experience is not an experience of something, of, something or some, feeling or anything like that. Direct experience, according to Nagarjuna, is the knowledge, and I'm saying there isn't any knowledge, of the non-origination of anything in its intrinsic being. That's direct experience. It's the non-apprehension of anything. If I think I'm still apprehending things, or I have an experience and a feeling, I'm apprehending something. I'm arriving at something. The only real analysis, the conclusion is we'll finish up with emptiness. We won't finish up with something. That's the a sort of a correct analysis when we're analysing something. So, like I could hear you saying, we don't really finish up with anything. But I feel like I get more of a certainty that I can't find anything. And so there, this is not dead or sort of nihilistic and so on. But I reckon I'm a work in progress too, sort of thing. There's a bit more to go on that. And if I didn't think I could find this, but I thought it was pretty relevant. It's only about 1 minute's reading. Is that so? This was on
Yeah. Hold the mics for you.
Oh, yeah, no, it's all right. This was about how we seem to experience things, or what is this direct experience, and so on. And this is what to understand and ultimate truth. Not that there is anything. It needs to be distinguished from conventional. Conventional truth is truth about phenomena. So just ordinary conventional truth is truth about phenomena that is inferred through cognition. When conventional truth asserts the emptiness of phenomena, it does so conceptually and linguistically through the abstract construction and analysis of conceptual objects. So this type of knowledge is just conceptual, and it's always, even our experience is going to be an experience of some object or some feeling or something. Ultimate truth is different in this regard. It is the direct non-conceptual perception of the emptiness of phenomena. It is like realising that something you were looking for is not there, and right then directly perceiving the absence of the object. It's like you put your car keys in the top drawer, but one day you go and you open up the top drawer and the keys are not there, and then directly perceiving the absence of the car keys. So this direct perception is a direct perception of an absence, not a direct perception of something. It is called, non-conceptual is called prajna. That's the word. Prajna is not the knowing of anything substantial. In a strict sense, it has no knowing or knowledge. It is an insight that anything that shows up, now I wrote all this, so just take, but I think it's good. It is the insight that anything that shows up, anything that appears or experienced, or that can be identified is impermanent and is constantly changing. See, all our experience, if we have an experience, even a spiritual experience, all it is something, it's just something that shows up. And anything that shows up is impermanent because everything that shows up is impermanent. So it's not a real thing. Yeah. But we think we've had a real spiritual experience, but it's not, because it's an impermanent thing. It doesn't have it. It's not a permanent thing. It also depends on other things. A spiritual experience, for example, depends on a body. You know, if you haven't got a body, you're not going to have any experiences. So these, spiritual experiences are dependent, meaning they're not independent. It's not an independent thing. It's just dependent. Everything that shows up is just dependent. It depends on something else. So there's no real reality in anything. Everything is dependent on something else. Like a tree depends on branches, leaves, and water and so on. So there's no essence, no real true essence or true nature in anything at all. Yeah. And and so in fact everything is empty of essence, self, nature, substance, reality, and so on. And it's the realization that you actually can't comprehend anything, because there is no essence or nature there in anything to comprehend, to apprehend, to be able to say that's what that chair is. I'm able to find the chairness. And the enlightened people know this. They know that you cannot apprehend something like chairness or selfness or anything at all. And that's the knowledge of the non-origination of anything. That nothing actually originated in the first place. There was never a chairness or anything. So everything is just appearances. They are mere appearances. And that's another enlightened perspective, is the realising that things are just mere appearances and they're nothing more than that. Yeah. So we now don't superimpose something else on them, like they're hard chairs or they're big chairs or anything like that. I'll let someone else have another go.
Yeah, I can comment on that, unless you wanted to say something. Okay. Go for it. Bob wanted to
Bob,
say
you said something.
You have to do what Don's, what your name?
Tony.
No,
Ross?
Rob told us, get stuffed.
Good stuff.
Yeah, that's all the worlds are made of, stuff.
Stuff. Good stuff. Yeah.
That's all we need to do is get stuffed.
He was Shakespeare or someone says it's stuff. I wanted to just tell you a little story, which I was actually thinking a couple of times before, but the energy didn't move this way. When you say, Tony, about finding or focusing on absence, this is all obviously very, very helpful on the stage of investigation, when you see everything is impermanent, everything is interdependent, and absolutely. The thing is the focus. Actually, and this is the little story. There was a guy here that used to come for years. He moved up the coast as soon as I have arrived because he didn't have to look after Bob anymore and check if he is all right. Bill, I'm talking about Bill, and if you are with us, Bill, we love you. So he was saying a little analogy about he was building the house and he was putting down the foundation. Peter, you might have met him in Bermagui, our friend Bill. I think you did. Anyway. Gorgeous energy pattern. He was laying a foundation of the house, and it was a wooden foundation, and he was convinced that might be a termite there. So you have to go and check for the termite. And then he went and he checked, and there was no termites. But then he slept overnight. Next morning he woke up and he says, well, but you know what, better double check. Maybe they are termites. So he went and he checked, and no, they were no termites. And then he made some protection, sprayed or whatever. The third day he went again and checked. Termites? No, no termites. And he asked himself a question, how many times more do you have to see that there are no termites? You know, you perceived directly the absence. How much more you gotta focus on that absence, because there is still me focusing there, trying to find something, trying to get something, knowing something, understanding something. I know there is impermanence. I know there is no termites. I know there is no self. No, no, no. This is the question of focus. If the attention is laser sharp on something, trying to get, remember, understand, have, there is always a question. Who is it happening to? What's really going on? Why is that centralized attention? Is that any involvement of any imagined self there? Because the attention, the way it flows in nature, it doesn't need to focus unless it needs that for survival of the machinery. Other than that, it can be totally relaxed, like Bob often points. Just relax into non-conceptual with 5 senses wide open. So there are sounds, there are sights, everything is nicely processed. But you're not obsessing about focusing, oh, are there termites? Or is there a self? Or is there permanence? Or is there... It's basically processing concepts, is still intensely focusing in the mind, while the non-conceptual awareness is that witnessing space-like consciousness in which that focusing happens. If we can see now that focusing, if that focusing can be cognized, can be noticed, the chances are that it will start relaxing. Because, as you say, Tony, you are a work in progress. How many times you actually really do know it? You know everything is arising interdependently. You look for the self, you haven't found it. You know that, yes, everything depends on everything else, not just on the body, but on the sunshine, on the sky, on the food, on the, you know, like every experience, passing phenomena that depends on the rest of the universe. Now, holding that knowledge in the head, focusing the energy, the attention in there, and missing out on that basic space-like relaxed aliveness in which life just flows. There is no need to remember that, oh yeah, there's no me, there's no me, there's no me, there's no me, oh, I am. No, the energy goes to the conceptualizing, thinking, planning when it is required by the one unit. Environment and the body are inseparable. If environment demands it, the body will respond it without any controlling, without any effort needing to do that. Although I say it again and again, it is, I thank you, it is very, very helpful for the investigation, everything that you're pointing and highlighting. It absolutely is. The question is that going to be a work in progress for 20 years? It is still giving people some sense of joy or some sense of fulfillment, but it just doesn't have to be this way. Once the movement and the tendency to work it out in the mind is recognized, it naturally relaxes. Once you see there are no termites, you go ahead and you find yourself building that house.
See, what I'm saying is getting rid of concepts. You haven't heard anything that was said. It's eliminating concepts.
By remembering
And I've said before, I don't have any views. That's why I can't be faulted. Now, well and truly, you don't want, everything I'm saying is only, it's just a remedy. It's not, there's no truth in what I'm saying. It's just helpful to eliminate conceptualization, and then once that's happened, you've arrived at the other side, so to speak, with the raft, and you don't carry the raft around. So you've got an idea that I'm carrying a raft around, and if I say I'm a work in progress, I mean that's just conventional saying, you know, and so on. And I will continue to say that, you know, without any problems at all there. It's true. You know, once the medicine has done its job, it's no longer a medicine. So you don't have to keep taking the medicine. Any idea that you know But the whole focus of this is eliminating conceptualization, because conceptualization is what is the root cause of suffering, and so on, and so on. But anyway, that'll do.
The great perfection is non-conceptual awareness. What more do you need?
Can you say that again?
Say that again.
The great perfection is non-conceptual awareness. What more do you need?
Yeah. We have a couple of
Don't have to be
comments.
talking about it all the time. Oh, boy, it's there in that sentence, what you just say.
The non-conceptual awareness, I'd say, is the knowledge or the understanding of the non-origination of anything.
No.
That's
No,
that
that's
now.
concept,
So
Tony.
okay,
That's concept.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I've said my thing.
But-
We'll agree to disagree.
Yeah, the
No,
silence
no, but then
is
Oh
not.
no.
you're trying to describe what non-conceptual awareness was, so you move back into the story again.
Mm. But it is all helpful, for those who actually
very-
need it.
it's very helpful.
Absolutely, yeah. So I have few comments. We have 30 people around with us, so I'm just going to include them a little bit. And thank you, Tony. It really is helpful, and it is on the ball. It's absolutely beautiful, and it's of value. It's a great value. And now we have Tanya. Non-conceptual awareness is just this, with no words, labels appearing. No thoughts right now, but seeing, hearing, and sensations are appearing without labels. All experiencing is non-dual, but only the thoughts make it seem like it is not, right? Yeah, Tanya, you always have a good way of putting things in words. Julia says, have you ever seen a toddler hold a grudge? The toddler hold a grudge. Beautiful. And now Amarnath says there is no relation between self and thoughts. Screen never gets affected. Knower and known are notions. Self-inquiry blasts it. Yes, and Sharon says, I like that, a cloud of concepts passing. Amarnath, there is nothing called unnatural at all. Everything is in natural state, only which is stateless state, beyond words and thoughts. There is only awareness, neither concepts nor non-concepts, ultimately beyond a prior to everything we perceive non-verbally. And Amarnath says, thank you, beautiful Peter. No one meets no one. There is only non-dual awareness playing on itself without player. And Amarnath also says, thank you, Peter. There is no apparent self at all, source of appearance and disappearance. No one holds nothing. And of course, a lot of smiley faces and hearts. And Ralph sending hearts. And Amarnath, most of the times we call there is direct and indirect experience, but it is also notion. There is only non-conceptual awareness. All direct is indirect, and indirect is indirect only. And Amarnath also says there is only self, which is already realized. No non-self or non-realization is only a notion. There is neither desert nor mirage, water, no mind at all. And Jane says, to use a metaphor, you could say awareness is the sky and the clouds are the thoughts. Thoughts or clouds come and go. The sky or awareness is constant. It never changes. The habit of the alleged me is to like one thought and not the other. Interestingly, the thought of me is just an erroneous belief in persona of fleeting image we have about ourselves, a memory of ourselves, just a thought. The thought is never the real. When seen on the sky of awareness, just another cloud passing by. Beautiful. Amarnath, all labels and thinking is both phenomenal and non-phenomenal. When there is no label or thinking, it's non-phenomenal. With thinker or label, is phenomenal. Both Learning and non-learning are phenomenal. Unlearning and learning my help in the beginning eventually lost everything. There is no I knower, there is only simple knowing without knower. And Rohan says, beautiful cut, even the focusing requires me to focus. Then there will be an effort to try and get something and frustration when that something is not attained. But it is thoughtlessness, peace, etc. Bob emphasizes unfixated awareness so often. Yep. And Tanya says, I just realized I'm still trying to work it out in the mind. Thank you for illuminating pointing cut. Welcome. And Amarnath says, read the reader, listen the listener, think the thinker, investigate the investigator. It is not the answer is important, but non-phenomenal recognition. And Catherine says, the seeker appears to be in truth. There has never been a seeker. And this is from James. Yep. And there is some link to something, but we'll find it out. Thank you. So that's it. We are on with the online people. So Andy, would you like to give us something? You just wrote this beautiful book, which I started looking through. You must.
Well, it's all about this stuff too.
That's it. Yeah, that's what we want. We don't want anything else.
Yeah. Well, it's lovely to be here and sharing this space, and thank you, Bob, for keeping this all going. And the non-dual experience of being is foundational of everything. There's nothing else in a way. There's, you still have to watch out for any dog shit on the, wherever you're walking. But the phenomenal reality is subsumed in a much, an infinite experience of being. And the thing is that we get trapped in phenomenal reality and concepts, and so we miss what is unbelievably obvious, unbelievably present, ever present. So, yeah. I think that's.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Thank you.
Please.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, that was wonderful. And thank you. I love you. You're incredible. Yeah.
We all love you, Tony.
Yeah,
You
no, really, I really do. I love you because you are arising, in consciousness. Like, that's the absolute beauty of it all, isn't it? It's like there's nothing to prove. Nothing to prove. I don't have to have a better idea about anything nothing can negate this direct experience for any and all of us. Isn't that true? Yeah, it's like I think all we need to do is just let all things move through you, right? Just relax, let all things appear and move on. All these thoughts that arise about me, I'm full of shit, I know something. They're all just thoughts arising. And there's emotions around that. Fuck, I just make a complete dick of myself. Or, I've got some good idea. I feel really proud of that idea. Or I'm happy, I'm really happy and feel kind of, exalted about, people making comments about how I've been performing here, so to speak. All these thoughts that are moving through, they're all moving through, and they relate to no one, really. They appear to be about a me, but in truth they are just thoughts arising. And they're all exquisitely beautiful. The appearance of... It's Terry, isn't it? Tony. Sorry, Tony.
Oh, Terry's fine.
You are the guy that whispered the secrets of meditation into the Buddha's ear. It doesn't matter how you manifest, So in this experience of just letting things come and go, all kinds of, amazing stuff appears, doesn't it? We all have these incredible lives that we try to explain to other people. And what Bob's offering here is something extremely simple. Extremely simple. It's not complicated at all. It's absolutely so simple that most people just gloss over it. And there's one more thing that's coming up here. I'll just wait for a moment. This is different. It's extremely simple and extremely easy. It's a lot simpler than trying to keep on working on being something. Being something. What a devastation. Field of devastation that has been for most of us, I imagine. But this that is being offered here is simply recognising that you are that in which everything is occurring, and that everything that is occurring in this vast field of unlimited oneness that we are, or unlimited awareness, is made of awareness. Is made of this stuff. You call it awareness, but it's it has no label. It has no, because every time there is this temptation to grasp something and say, I know this. I'm the thing that knows. But that thought is already gone, and it's. In the recognition of this, we are it's a bit of a devastation, really, because everyone comes to these things under false pretenses. Everyone is coming here, right? Wanting a better, a whiz-bang experience of some kind. Yeah? You want to realise, something better about yourself, right? Or some truth that you want this experience to come forth and go, whoa! Isn't that?
No, that's not.
Oh, well, that's great. Yeah. Tell me otherwise. Yes, that would be good.
But often people come for that.
Yeah.
But it is different. Yeah.
I don't seek those intense experiences, but those intense experiences have shown me something about myself. So they are of value.
What have they shown you?
I'm not my body. I'm not my emotions. I'm not my mind. And it's only through direct experience of quite, you know, what you might describe a quite intense spiritual experience, that I really got that. It wasn't from reading a book or, you know, I'd heard those words before, but until I had that direct experience, which for me was quite intense, multiple times, that truth of who I am became real for me. But it's not something that I seek. Yeah. It is something that just happens spontaneously. I was seeking when it happened, but yeah.
Just a question, a quick one. You're not your body and you're not your mind. Are you separate from your body? Are you separate from your mind?
Do I have to answer that?
You can just say, I don't know.
No, I'd say no.
Bob, did you want to say something? Bob wanted to say something.
Just want to quote a couple of words from the Hensing Ming. The more you talk and think about it, the further away you wander from the truth. Stop talking and thinking, and there's nothing you'll not be able to know.
And I have one more comment from online, a couple more comments from people who are with us. Tanya, commenting on what Jane was saying about the metaphor, she says, beautiful, Jane, that really resonates. It really is just a thought, a passing cloud. Thanks for pointing out that no thought is better than another thought. They're all just thoughts, concepts, and not reality. And then now Tanya says also, thank you all for this beautiful meeting. Heart has shined from clarity on a topic I have been looking at for a seemingly long time. You can't be that which is changing, transient, but you are that also. Love you all. And now we have more messages of love you all. So, love you all. And thank you everyone.
Thank you. Thanks, Bob.
Thank you.
Thank you.